What is happening? J Gaming Dude here, and Kotaku Australia is now effectively shutting down. As per, there were a bunch of different articles I could look at, but I feel like The Guardian kind of provides an interesting look at the whole thing. But yeah, so pretty much Kotaku Australia is shutting down, and the reason for it is because there are a decent amount of restructuring going on at Pedestrian Group, because it seems like that whenever it comes to the gaming journalism sort of market at the moment, you've got like here IGN that's just kind of buying up everyone and buying up the competition, and then on this other side you've got a bunch of people losing their jobs and all being cut from all of the companies that kind of have employed them and things along those lines. It feels like everything is just slowly starting to kind of fall apart as far as we can tell. So let's actually have a look at this. And there is actually something interesting I learned from this article, but we'll just kind of go from there. So, tech and culture news websites like Vice, Gizmodo, Refinery29, Kotaku, and Lifehacker will no longer publish in Australia. So you might be like, wait, hold on. There's Vice there's Gizmodo, Refinery29, Kotaku, and Lifehacker. Now, they all fall under a single umbrella, which is called Pedestrian Group. So it feels like these sort of like, not hedge funds, but these larger entities buy these companies and then hoard them under a single umbrella. Now, with that being said, how is Kotaku involved here and not Kotaku AU? So pretty much what's happening here is the Kotaku AU, what they do is they republish titles by using the licenses from Kotaku proper. So Kotaku Australia never actually publishes original content. Instead, they'll get content from Vice, from Gizmodo, from Refinery29, from Kotaku in, I guess, the US, and then you've got Lifehacker, amalgamating that content and putting it under the banner of Kotaku Australia. So that's kind of the idea, or a very basic idea, of how licensing works. And it's interesting how that works, because I feel like there's going to be a lot of loss of communication. I feel like wrong information is going to be put into wrong articles and things along those lines. I feel like I can see a lot of things going wrong because there isn't a lot of heavy amount of communication that happens between these brands, at least not from what I could tell, based on how other people have been writing about this whole situation. But yeah, let's just kind of look into this a little bit further. So Pedestrian took control of the long-standing publications as part of the merger between Nine and Fairfax. Now, this is something that I didn't know. Nine is a huge media conglomerate in Australia, and they have their own channel and everything. So I didn't know that Nine actually hosted all of this content. So while Pedestrian Group owns Kotaku Australia falls under Nine. So it's two different massive corporations so like I said, Kotaku Australia takes those content from Vice, Gizmodo, Refinery, Kotaku, Lifehacker, which is under a massive company called Pedestrian. Then you've got the massive company Nine that has Kotaku Australia underneath it, and then they license that stuff over. So what? I don't know if so pretty much not Refinery. So it looks like Pedestrian Group actually pay money to Nine to publish that content under a different source. In this case being Kotaku Australia. So that's actually interesting. Staff were informed on Monday in an email from the CEO of Pedestrian Group, Matt Rowley, that despite Pedestrian Group being a highly successful business, the company has decided to end its use of brand licenses and focus on wholly owned brands, including Pedestrian, which is interesting because they are successful, and rather than allowing their contents to be published elsewhere, they're just going to focus on their own brands that they own, since they don't own Kotaku Australia, and in fact they actually have to pay money to Nine in order for stuff to be published under Kotaku Australia. It's just not gonna happen anymore moving forward. So that's the decision that's actually been made. So they're going to be saving money, and people who are republishing that content are the ones that are going to be losing their jobs, which is, again, I really am trying to get my head around, but failing to do so, as to how this would actually work as a profitable business venture, potentially, because I feel like you're adding more costs and more overhead, and there's also a larger possibility that some errors may occur with companies that you are partnering with to republish the content that is made by your company, which I thought was interesting. But also, again, I can't believe that like Kotaku Australia was under 9 of all things. I feel like that's the thing that's blowing my mind, and I feel like for those of you guys that are outside of the Oceania region won't know what 9 is, but again, like I said, media conglomerate, has its own channel, its own news source, and everything else in between, and they just have that there. So that's actually quite fascinating. Let's see, what do we have here? So there isn't much more to say besides the shuttering of the local operations of Gizmodo, Kotaku, and Lifehacker follows the shutdown of local versions of tech-site rivals ZDNet, CNET, and GameSpot, which parent company Red Ventures closed down in 2022. Okay, that's interesting. I did not know that. Let's actually look at that. Red Ventures to close local ZDNet operations. Whew. Yeah, so this has been happening for a while now. That's unfortunate. Holy cow. So yeah, people are losing their jobs, and sure enough, we can always say, hey, you know, gaming journalists are getting what they deserve finally. But in saying that, like, no matter what happens, I feel like people should not deserve to lose their jobs. Sure, they might absolutely suck at what they do and should get docked for their pay, but I mean, it kind of sucks to lose your job. Though, under these circumstances, I would rather if people were to really suffer to actually get fired for reasons outside of restructuring and things like that, because that'll hit you a lot harder, because people are going to ask, hey, you left this company, why on earth would you? Unless something really, really bad, like massive or bad or negative happened. But ultimately, yeah. So there is that element of it. Though, with that being said, it's kind of interesting to see that Kotaku Australia is no longer going to be around. And it feels kind of weird, because now I kind of realize that there's going to be this hole of something that I used to see fairly often for years and years, now no longer being there. I don't know. I'm in a weird spot where I feel kind of sad that it's not going to be there, but I also kind of feel nothing for the people, because I never really partook in reading content under Kotaku Australia. And you might think, hey, you know, it's like, you know, and a part of Kotaku, so obviously they deserve it. But then again, it's kind of like, yeah, Kotaku does suck. That much is for certain. But Kotaku Australia, you know, they never wrote that content originally. Originally, it all came from Kotaku proper, under the US branch. So I feel like they just kind of got into the firing range of things, maybe. Or I'm looking at this too much from a completely different point of view. But yeah, I guess I don't really have much to say about this, and nor is any of it really kind of making too much sense. So I guess I'll just kind of leave it at that. Just in a general kind of sense, let me know what you guys think about the whole idea of game journalists, outlets shutting down, people losing jobs, and it kind of constantly being caused by the decision of higher-ups at massive firms that actually own multiple outlets now no longer paying those people, or being like, hey, we don't want to do this anymore, and they're ultimately shutting down other opportunities that they've kind of kept open for what seems to be a decent amount of time, especially with, say, Kotaku Australia that's been around for a while. So yeah, let me know what you guys think about all of that in the comments below. Like the video if you liked it, subscribe to the channel. I'm aiming for 300 subs by the end of the year. And with all that said and done, I do upload every day, so I'll see you guys tomorrow.